All right, we are live with the one and only Nicole Scheffler. Nicole, welcome.
Hey, Sabrina, always great to see you.
You know what? You are one of my favorite people for several reasons, but one of my favorite things about you is you are just authentic. You show up as yourself on every platform, and I love that. So I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really me and not
Yes.
my robot clone. So I'm authentically here as well.
At least not yet. Yeah, exactly. At least not yet. So, I mean, I know a lot of people know you. You've been around for a while, but for those who don't, you have an amazing background. You are super deep technical. In fact, just for our live audience, Miss Nicole actually made a joke about blockchain yesterday. So that's how geeky you are, if I may, in all of the glory. But you also have a deep knowledge around strategy and planning, around the channel, around building teams and leadership. And frankly, you've done that for some of the largest tech giants in the world. Meanwhile, you're raising a family and leading your own women in tech movement. So did I leave anything out?
I do live stream music sometimes when I'm feeling bored. But no, that's very complimentary and all part of the journey. So thanks for highlighting that. I think the books I've been able to contribute to about 3 best-selling books so far. One with Jack Canfield, somewhere up here. Jack Canfield, Pillars of Success. He's my mentor. I'm a certified success coach in his programs. And then I have 2 other best-selling books. The One Habit. One is One Habit to Thrive in a Post-COVID World. And the other is One Habit for Greatest Leaders. And it's a great series. In fact, there might be another series, another book in that series coming soon called One Habit to Spark the Tech Diva Revolution. So,
okay. So stay tuned. Good to know. All right. So, one of the things that we talked about as we were preparing for today and, getting together is building better solutions. We see this in teams. We see this in the tech world. We see this in enterprise itself, right? Across organizations is this really, massive need for comprehensive, almost simple solutions. And it feels like some people get it right at some moments. You happen to work for an organization, VMware, who's brilliant at this. You've built some amazing, incredibly comprehensive solutions. So what's the secret? Is there something that you're seeing that really works or a best practice that you go, this is how we build better solutions today?
well, I love solutions. I love solving problems. There's, I think, a movie where they have like a fixer who comes in. I'm definitely a fixer. I like to come in and help make things better. There's one rule that's like at the foundation of any type of solution building, which is communication. Because oftentimes solutions have to do with impacting several people's business projects, applications, platforms, etc. And when you're trying to move the needle for some type of solution building, you need to be able to communicate why and how and the process of that to those people. So I think communication is something that leaders can do or anyone can do better because everyone learns differently. I learned really quickly in the classroom. I started adjunct teaching when I was 25, which I'll give a really fast story about going into the classroom. I actually pretended like I was a student because I was so young at the time and sat behind my computer till about 15 minutes after the class was supposed to start. And then was like, what is going on? And like walked out of the room and then came back in. And I was like, I'm Nicole, I'll be your teacher. And their mouths were like, what? And it was an information warfare and security class. So I said, the first rule is don't believe what you see. But I learned really quickly in the classroom that people learn in so many different ways. Some people need to hear it, see it, absorb it. Some people just want the summary. Some people need it in a video. Some people need to do hands-on learning, which is common for engineering. So I would say the first foundational thing in building solutions is communication. And for everyone out there, think about what small thing could you do to communicate better to your own people? If you're a leader, communicating your priorities on how they execute, communicating to your customers, if you're selling solutions, if you're putting solutions together, how can you do that? We happen to do that with some future state architectures and really taking the customer on the journey with us. You know, customer journey is huge right now for everyone. And your brand. So we talk about communicating many things, but how are you communicating your brand? I'm glad I come off authentic because I believe everyone should have a safe place to be able to be you. No one else is you. You have amazing gifts and talents. But beyond the cloud, like when we really look at solutions, there's three things that I want to point out that are fascinating to me as we evolve with technology. I'm obsessed with innovation. I've been studying the innovation cycles since I got my master's degree, and diversity is a huge part of innovation. When we have diverse teams, it's proven that we can create more things and really save our world if we do it right. But whether we're transforming like a business with a technical solution or transforming ourselves into our best selves, there's actually some commonalities that help build solutions for both yourself and your business. So this was a fun way to attack this question. The first is really is innovation. Like I said, you have to innovate when you're coming up with solutions because that's what we do. You know, you have a problem, you're looking for a solution, you got to innovate to do it. When we innovate, we fail because sometimes things aren't delivered as intended, right? So you have to be okay to fail fast. People always talk about that, but you can't fail if you're not trying. Those that are really successful, whether you're building a big solution for your company or you're figuring your own life out in your career, try lots of things, take lots of iterative action, and then see what works. So I think you have to see, how do you harness innovation within your company? If you're running a enterprise grade, I happen to lead an enterprise class team now of engineers at VMware and work with a lot of customers. So these customers, say you're dealing with a very large, complex network. How do you bring innovation in to solve those things, make your applications run faster, more secure, those things? And are you sourcing that from inside? For example, Quicken Loans, they do a great program. I interviewed someone so long ago, years ago, Christina from Rocket Fiber, I forget the name, I'm so sorry. But she talked about how they had like this mousetrap program where everyone would come in and the company would open it up and say, what can we do better? And like let people crowdsource that within their company. So you could take that same model and put it in for everything in your business. So I think the first is innovation, just as we've had to innovate in our career during this pandemic, this 2 years, this change, the remote work, the opportunities. Now we're global. You can do anything. There's like no barriers, but all barriers at the same time. So we've had to innovate there. Have you seen a lot of innovation and solution building?
Well, you know, you hit on something that's a couple things that are so important though, you know, and not to take this back to like behavioral, you know, science, but I'm going to, because there's a lot of science and technology, is the mindset of innovation. And I see this a lot in the go-to-market strategies that we build, in the enablement that we build, when we're helping a lot of these organizations build out their solutions. There is a mindset that this has worked for so long and I'm hitting my quota, or, you know, we're at this place in the, you know, Fortune 100 or whatever it might be, or our shareholders are this happy. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to work for what's coming. And I think the other thing that you bring up is the mindset of going into either a meeting, going into your own personal planning. Jillian Kaplan talks about this a lot. A lot of folks talk about this. In fact, we just talked about it with Rhonda Coleman a couple weeks ago. You know, even as you're going in and planning for your own career, and then when you're going in and planning for your teams, whether it's leadership, whatever that looks like, engineering. So when you're meeting, like you gave the example of your customer, when you're meeting with them, coming in and not necessarily going, this is what I've always done. These are the questions I've always asked, but coming in saying, I'm going to innovate. And then how am I going to do that? There's a lot of science behind the creativity level, even the types of chemicals that flow through your body and your brain when you think like that. So I love that you hit that first, because without the mindset, you've effectively shut yourself down. Chemically, neurologically, you're done. You're not going to innovate if you don't allow that pathway to be open. So I love that. I love that.
Yes. And they say what got us here may not get us there. And again, so many synergies as I thought about this interview and transforming solutions and putting technology together in these puzzle pieces and our lives, because we do have to look at it differently. There's two other commonalities I found in building solutions and building solutions for your career buildings, for example. And the second one, besides innovation, is agility. So we are seeing the rise of agility in technology. It's something that developers and app developers have had to do and had to create to provide iterations and releases of applications for a very long time, test, dev, prod, those environments, to get a little nerdy. But now we are able to take a lot of those agile best practices into other areas, other technical solutions. That's exactly what we saw happen with infrastructure as a service. That, you know, VMware and many other vendors provide, but also in like the design thinking aspect of it, design thinking, agile, iterating, automation, key to agility. And those are some fundamental things that now we have to say, okay, this worked for developers and apps. How can we use these things that allowed us to do sprints, be agile, constantly improve, and put those into larger solutions? So I think looking at it a holistic standpoint, maybe even looking at how your organization's set up. It's probably a separate episode, but I've been fascinated with organizing, structure, organizational behavior type stuff around how we develop teams. Like you mentioned, we've had these traditional IT teams in the past, and that might not be how we need to manage them moving forward. So the real leaders at the top, the CIOs, can look at how that's done. And we have to be agile as well in our lives. As a parent during the pandemic, I had a baby during the pandemic. So a lot of change, a lot of agility there, but you can do it. You know, you just have to pivot. And the last part, I'll be brief on this one, is planning. Planning is absolutely key when we're building solutions and when we're planning our career. You can't get from where you are with your current state of your architecture or your current state of your career if you don't know where you want to go. So again, gathering that plan from all of your different vendors, from all of your different teams, and creating one plan. And that includes all the different areas of your life when it comes to your career, because too often we measure success of money and title. And there's actually 7 areas of your life where you can create goals. And so it's more than just a money or a status. It's really working towards things like your mission, your health, your legacy, things like that. So those are some things I found in building solutions and building up yourself that hopefully can help everyone out there.
I love that. I love that. I think, you know, as I'm kind of processing and going through this in my own mind, you know, we just got struck by a pandemic, right? We have all these circulations of new variants, and now, you know, are we closing? Are we not? What are we doing? So when we think about planning, what's your recommendation? How far out do you plan? Because there's a balance. You hit on it. You have to be agile. You have to be ready. Shout out to Joe Honest, because he would love this too. You have to be ready to fail fast. And that doesn't mean that you're always necessarily failing, but you're iterating, right? Whatever it might be. But so there's a level of being agile, but then there's also a level of planning. What's that balance now? Is we've kind of learned you can't plan 10 years in advance. Remember when you used to write business plans for 5 years? I mean, it just doesn't happen anymore, or does it? Any guidance there?
Gosh, well, let's first look at the solution side, the professional side, the building of solutions, technical solutions that enable your business. I think you need to look, 1 to 3 years out, because you might be working on something that could take a lot of time. The thing about these plans is that you can shorten time windows with the right resources. And that goes for your career as well, right? But I think the plan, what I like to do is come up with a year of something big. I call it a bonfire goal, right? Because you have little goals and the actions that you need to take towards those goals. But when you have a bigger goal, something that you can quantify how much by when, then you can work towards that bigger goal little bit by little bit by little bit. If I said I want to write a book for women in tech, then that's a journey that takes a lot of time. But you have to take little actions every day to do that. And I believe it's all about the small bits and the small bits and bytes that add up to create, packets and internet streams. But, I think it's just those
Love
little
you.
things that we do. Yeah. I mean, hey, I am a tech diva.
Bring it. I love it.
It is all about the bits, though. It's little things you can do to work towards those goals. So I like to have, I guess both, like a 1 and 3 year, because things change so quickly. Beyond that, even 3 years can be hard. But at some point, you get to be a little more value based. Like with our solutions, you might want to say we want to be completely serverless or completely in the cloud or these things eventually, or have completely modern apps or whatever you're trying to work towards. Same within your life. You may want to have the ability to just focus on your mission or just do whatever you want in your career and life. But you have to kind of like focus on, okay, what's a big thing I can work for this year? And really just having those goals all written down.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you bring up a very good point about, maybe you want to go all to the cloud, or maybe, you need to revamp, your cloud strategy altogether. And you made a little caveat, but I don't want it to get overlooked. Everything you just said can also apply to your life. It can also apply to your leadership. And how meta is that, first of all? But how powerful is that? That as you're investing in your career, as you're investing in your team, as you're investing in yourself, it distributes, right? It's like, I'm thinking Hawking's radiation, it's kind of going everywhere. So I love that. And you brought up a point about pulling in good people, pulling in good resources, pulling in good vendors. You lead a team that is trying to be true advisors, right? To really help make these kinds of tough decisions. What kind of guidance do you give your team? What kind of guidance do you take on yourself when you pull in right people, or for instance, with your team, to be that right person? How do you know what that looks like?
You get to know them and you invest in where they're passionate. Their passion is going to lead to their strength. Their strength is going to lead to your win. And so I think whether you're working with vendors, what are they passionate about solving for you? Let them solve that thing for you. Let them show you the way, right? And within your people and teams, try to really find out where they're passionate about, because that will allow them to create a North Star for enjoying their work and living their best life, which is what it all comes down to. So I have to agree with you. It is all about the right people, but I think it all starts with where we're passionate, because then you'll never get burnt out. You and I have talked offline as friends about how do we do all these things. And I think it really comes down to passion, because then you never question why you're doing these things. You never question why you give up A for B, or you dedicate that little extra time to go live or do these things. And so just as you've been dedicated in making people better, you're giving that time, but that's because you like that and it drives you and it gives you something to sink your teeth into. So I think it's about figuring that out for our people.
And you write a lot about, goal setting. And in fact, I think you even have another book coming up. If it hasn't already been released already, you've done a ton of stuff with, like Jack Canfield and Jillian Michaels around goal setting. You bring up, this idea of what fills you. Does that go into when you set goals? Are you looking at, let's find things that fill our tank, so to speak, and does that translate to business, or am I just way overstretching, way overreaching?
Sure. I mean, it should. I don't think many people are going to be like, hey, this SD-WAN just really, SD-WAN. But hey, if you are, let's talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get like that, I guess. But, there's really 4 areas, and I think that they can apply to both. That's what I love about this. You're transforming your business and you're transforming yourself. So the 4 areas, the first is, then this would be 4 areas of really setting clear goals and finding success in whatever it is for you. The first is law of attraction. So I think you need to have, we talked about it earlier in this chat, the mindset, the magnetic attraction to what you want. If you are trying to build your career and you want to make a difference in the app space, then you need to attract people who are also passionate about the app space. Go to the communities, engage in, GitHub, like do the things that you need to do to attract that. So the first step is just really believing in the law of attraction. Where your mind goes is what flows. So really staying positive, and that will help in all aspects of your life, even in working with solutions, staying open-minded and staying positive, that you'll be able to see what could be. And then the second piece is visioning that. So you can attract things into your life. I can attract a wild impact on women in tech. But if I don't envision what that really looks like, if I don't really vision what a successful solution would look like, and how that application might behave, or how that cloud experience will be, or how I'm going to manage costs, or how am I going to provision these things, or be security compliant, all the nerdy things that we do in tech world, you have to be able to envision, okay, I want to have this type of SOC, or, this, and really think about what that looks like. And again, that goes for your career. And then the third part is just setting goals, because those two foundational pieces, a lot of people leave those out and they just go straight to goals. And they don't think about, what are you attracting into your life? What kind of energy are you exchanging? Because when you give out positive energy, you tend to get that back. Not that everyone is perfect or has the greatest day ever, but we can generally control the law of attraction, our visioning, even thinking about your career and thinking, when I wake up in the morning, what emails do I want to get? What calls do I want to be on? What does my day look like? Where am I working from? How am I balancing? How late am I working? What kind of projects am I working on? Vision those things and then set those goals. Written, again, I have a goal setting guide available at techdivasuccess.com. Yes, you can get that. It's about a 3-day series with a great downloadable. And then I'm working on a book on habits. But we'll talk about that in a minute, because the last piece is really important. The fourth piece to a goal setting, to finding success, and I think very rarely people do this, is an affirmation. So we've thought about what we want, we've attracted it in, we've envisioned that, we've set some goals, and now you want to start acting as if you've achieved that. So you actually want to say, I am feeling so excited that now I'm able to invest this amount of time on this SD-WAN project, because I'm really going to be able to bring my technical skills to that. And that was a cheesy example, but it shows you the blend and the dance between the career and the solution building. And really just, you want to say it's in the now. You want to put a feeling word with it. I am full of joy after talking with Sabrina about us taking over, the globe for humanitarian improvement. I'm just kidding. That was
good. You use the word excited. I'm going to geek out for a second, but I promise it's worth it. Is, they did some research on these, Olympiads and all this stuff, and major amazing athletes, and they interviewed them right before the game time. And what they found was silver and bronze would respond to the question, how do you feel, with I'm nervous, most of the time. Nervous, happy, but usually nervous, right around there. What they found for golds, most of the time, the gold winners would say, I'm excited. Yeah. And I think the other thing you really hit on, which I cannot let us close out without hitting on this big time, or, circling back, is vision. Because I think if you have that vision, if you can really think big, if you can think about what's this going to look like for our customers? How are we going to be bigger and better in this industry? You look back at some of these videos and recordings of some of the biggest, most innovative people of our time. And that's what they were doing, is they thought massively, and you stuck to it. To your point, they were passionate about it. They were excited about it. So yes, you can get excited about SD-WAN. We just did an amazing SASE session yesterday. And I'll tell you what, no joke, I'm on, messaging with all these engineers about how freaking excited they are about SASE,
So my people.
Yes, you can. So we just, we got to close out. I could use another 22 minutes with you. Thank you, first of all, for being here. You are so busy. I think you have another presentation you have to jump to right after this anyway. So thank you. Your time is valuable. You are valuable. And I so appreciate you. I know people have questions. I know you've got a lot coming up. Where can people find you? Where can people find more information, find some of the stuff that you've written, your podcast, all of that, where do they go?
Yeah, I'll give one closing thought and then drop that for you.
Yeah.
My closing thought is on that vision. Too often we
Mhm.
short ourselves in big organizations with cascading visions and priorities. The most successful organizations that I have, leaders at the top, get everyone on board with one vision to, say, take customers on a multi-cloud journey and modernize their apps, or to spark success for women in tech by leading and serving. And when you share your vision correctly, everyone should be working towards that with you, for you, to align all the stars. So I just wanted to leave everybody with that. Of course, I would love to connect. And maybe you want to come on my podcast. I have some award-winning podcasts. All of the goods are at techdivasuccess.com. And if you wanted to join us, we're going on a journey to collect habits and unhabits that will help spark the Tech Diva revolution. So if you are on fire from this and you are especially passionate about women in technology, hey, hit me up. Let's talk for 15 minutes and see how we can collaborate, maybe come on the podcast, or definitely join us as a co-author in the book with this great publication opportunity. So check us out on social, YouTube, all the things. But I just love what you're doing, Sabrina, and the guide that you and Jillian are working on, and the things that you're doing in this space. Together we can do more. So let's just keep raising each other up, celebrating our success, and living our best lives.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you live.
One love. Bye.